Hey there, Halloweenies, it's Blackmetal Werewolf making a brand new video for my October month. Now, this video is going to be about horror movie remakes. Now, I know a lot of people cringe as soon as they hear the term horror movie remake, because as soon as they hear it, they think, shit, what movie that I loved as a kid is now being butchered into something to sell tickets to modern audiences? Now, I'm not inherently against horror movie remakes. For example, one of my favorite movies is a remake. John Carpenter's The Thing is a remake of The Thing from Another World. So I would be a total hypocrite if I were to take all remakes and throw them under the bus and say they all suck. Now, don't get me wrong, there are a lot of horror movie remakes that are terrible, that deserve to be buried, forgotten about, and we can all just pretend they never happened. But there are a lot of really good horror movie remakes that deserve a lot of recognition. But the big question is, what's the difference? How does, some horror movie remakes turn out great and other ones turn out so bad? When it comes down to it, I really understand that remakes can be really hard to make, because if you follow the source material too closely, it begs the question, what's the point? If you were to do a shot-for-shot remake of a movie, why don't I just watch the original? Like what they did with Psycho. Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho is considered a masterpiece, and so when they did a shot-for-shot remake of it, why would I watch that when I can just watch the original masterpiece? But if you do too much different to a remake, it no longer becomes the same movie. It's just a different movie with the same name. And people know that, and people realize that. I think one of the explanations why there is such a big gap between good remakes and bad remakes is the reason why they're being remade. It's very obvious that a lot of big directors are heavily influenced by the movies that they saw as children. And when they do remakes, they want to play a loving tribute to the things they grew up and loved. But there are also remakes that are clearly only made to fit the fad of the movies at the time so they can get asses in the seats. John Carpenter was obviously a very big fan of The Thing from Another World. In an interview I saw, he said he saw it as a little kid and it scared the shit out of him. And then when he went to high school, he read the book that it was based on, Who Goes There? So when he wanted to remake it, it wasn't just, hey, alien movies are a big thing now, let's make an alien movie. It was more of, I love The Thing so much, let's pay an honoring tribute to it, but also, let's draw from the original source material, so I'm not just copying the original movie. And there are a lot of horror movie remakes that, the directors were very big fans of the original movies, and they paid loving tribute to it, like David Cronenberg's The Fly. It was obviously a different take of the story, but he loved the original so much, and he wanted to do something a little different, and it worked. And there's the Evil Dead remake. The original director and producers produced this movie and oversaw the whole thing, so their movie, the original concept, didn't get butchered and turned into some weird piece of crap that no one would even recognize anymore. Then there are remakes that are clearly only being made to get as many asses in the seats as possible. It's obvious that the directors, producers, and any of the companies involved don't even give a shit about the original movie, and they're just making it to pander to whatever audience are clamoring for at the time. There are two big examples I can think of when talking about this kind of remake. The main one is the remake of Fright Night. All flash, no substance. This movie was clearly made only to pander to the daddy dom, sexy vampire fad that was happening at the time. It took all of the charm of the original, threw it out the window to set it in a big, flashy, shirtless vampire setting, just so all the tween girls will go see it. It feels like this movie was just originally written as some stereotypical vampire movie, and then someone thought, hey, let's throw the Fright Night name onto it so we get the tween girls and the original Fright Night fans get ticket price from both of those groups. The original Fright Night was about a horny teenager in a small town who suspects his neighbor of being a vampire. All the characters in this are down to earth and relatable. This movie, it's all about Flash. They change it from a small town to Las Vegas. Peter Vincent is no longer an aging TV host. He is a flashy, Chris Angel-esque Hollywood magician. And Jerry Dandridge isn't some unassuming, kind of handsome guy. He's some overbearing, shirtless, muscle-bound guy they just try to get tween girls wet in the seats. There's clearly a difference why they made this movie. This as being an original idea, this being made to capitalize on the fad of the time. The other main example I can think of this kind of remake would be the remake of Poltergeist. The original Poltergeist being a movie about a young family moving into a house that happens to be haunted by poltergeists. The remake, I don't have a copy of it because that movie's fucking terrible, is just to capitalize on the ghost fad at the time, because every movie in theaters now has to be about ghosts. All the Paranormal Activity movies, The Conjuring, Annabelle, Sinister, pretty much every movie off the top of my head that I can think of that came out in the last few years have all been about ghosts, because I guess that's just what's filling theaters now. So instead of thinking of an original idea for a ghost movie, they thought, let's just write a ghost movie, throw Poltergeist onto it, throw in some whiny kid that feels he's not listened to, so all the teenagers who feel that they're not being listened to can relate to this little kid. That's all that movie is, and that's why it sucked. It got fucking slammed by critics, and not just by critics, by everyone who fucking saw it. The only people who thought it was good were the people who don't even know this movie exists, and no one cares what their opinion is anyway. So, in conclusion, that's pretty much my ideas on what is happening to remakes. They're either really good, loving tribute to the original source material, or they're just some random crap they throw a name onto to fill as many theater seats as possible. I understand the movie business is a business, but sometimes you just can't sacrifice creativity, because remakes usually flop, and they flop big time unless they're done right. And I know there's a bunch of other remakes being planned. I hear that The Blob is being remade again. I hear they want to remake Reanimator. The Thing in 2011 was remade, and it was a piece of shit. So yeah, that's my thoughts on remakes. So, like my past videos, I either do a recommendation or a warning, and for this video, I'm happy to do another recommendation. And today's movie is Goosebumps. This is a kind of a kid horror movie that came out last year. If you're familiar with the books, it's pretty much all the books put in together into one movie. You would think it would turn into a giant piece of shit with all these ideas flowing at you at once, but it's not. It actually works really well. So if you have kids, or if you're just a big fan of the books or the old TV show, I think you'll really enjoy this movie. If you're not a fan of the books or you don't have kids, I think you might be able to skip it. So, thanks a lot for watching, guys. If you like my video, don't forget to like and subscribe and leave me a comment letting me know what you think of today's video. If you want to keep up with me on a more daily basis, you can follow me on Instagram. I'll put my name in the description as I always do. So, once again, thank you very much for watching, and stay spooky.